What's up, YouTube? Roach Source back with another video. Today we're going to be looking at Ironmace winning big. What could this mean, and what could this mean for the state and future of Dark and Darker? Let's take a look.
Let's go! Looking only at the results of the police investigation, it seems that Dark and Darker, developed by Ironmace, is unrelated to Nexon Korea's development.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we already been over this. I thought they won the court case already. Or does this have to do with the legality in Korea? Because I know they won it in the U.S., but I know they still had a battle that they were facing with Ironmace in Korea.
Project P3 and can be recognized as an independent development. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is OnePeg. I have a story for you. So once upon a time, a couple of Korean dudes decided that they wanted to make a video game. At the time, those two Korean dudes were working for a very large corporation in South Korea called Nexon, $12 billion mega corporation. They were working on a project called Project P3 at the time with about a dozen other hands-to-keyboard developers. Apparently, Nexon and those two folks were not getting along so great. So Terry and Joo-Hoon Choi, otherwise known as SDF, quit Nexon to start Ironmace, along with 10 or so other developers that worked for Nexon at the time. Nexon made the claim that these two...
Oh, I forgot. Ironmace is the company that made Dark and Darker. Nexon was the company that was trying to sue them.
Guys stole a whole bunch of IP regarding Project P3 to create a video game that we all know as Dark and Darker. This has been litigated in court in the United States and in South Korea, sometimes simultaneously. A DMCA claim was made, taking the video game down from Steam, the most popular video game platform in the world, citing that Nexon had claim to the IP that Dark and Darker was using. Steam, Valve, found it meritorious enough to honor and took the game down. That was then litigated in a court in Seattle, Washington, in the Ninth Circuit Court, where a judge, because the court cases were being litigated at the same time in two different places, the judge made the determination that the forum where it was being heard in the United States was not good enough, was not the most convenient place, and sent it over to South Korean court, basically saying we would honor whatever verdict would come out of the South Korean court. During the time of the DMCA takedown, we ended up playing the video game via BitTorrent for the last couple of playtests, and then ultimately they came out with a blacksmith launcher, and we used some other like Korean like marketplace or whatever to download the video game so that we could all play it. Once this was vacated, though, the DMCA process went through whatever it needed to, and ultimately the game was relisted on Steam because, again, it was a DMCA. DMCA is United States law. There's no DMCA claim if there's no lawsuit in the US. That's just how it works. So the game goes back up on Steam, and we were all able to finally enjoy it. But there was this looming issue of this court case in South Korea. Was Nexon going to win? Were they going to owe Nexon money? Was the game going to be playable ever again? Well, I have an answer for you. At least 90% of one. But it looks really, really good for Ironmace. So good, in fact, that I think most people that may have had an inkling of thought that Ironmace had stolen IP from Nexon will be very pleasantly surprised. Now, I do have to warn you, two things. I'm using Google Translate to translate a Korean blog post article from a website called theelec.kr. So there's going to be some contextual stuff in here that might end up getting a little bit jumbled. However, the main idea I think will get across very, very easily. Second, I don't have dark mode because we're using Google Translate. When we use Google Translate, dark mode doesn't work. So put on your sunglasses because the page is bright white. I feel like I'm getting a suntan right now. The headline reads, Nexon Ironmace lawsuit, some police indictment opinion, no suspicion of copyright violation. And we'll get to the indictment opinion here in a minute.
Okay, so case closed, right?
On the 17th, the fourth argument was held at the Seoul District Court for both parties. The police agency says not guilty on charges of violating the Unfair Competition Prevention Act and the Copyright Act, with an opinion to indict on the illegal purpose of using an external server. According to the industry, the police are known to have conducted a full-scale investigation of the source code, comparison, verification, and copyright-related verification through a specialized agency. Now, I want to be clear on this. Both companies, Nexon and Ironmace, were ordered to provide source code, both of them, for both of their games, using prior builds, like originating builds, and their most recent builds, including logs of every stage that they made, every point update that they made. They needed to have logs of all of those changes that were made from the beginning until the end, both for Project P3 and until the most current date for Ironmace's Dark and Darker. First, the decision was made not to indict on the charge of violation of the Unfair Competition Prevention Act due to misuse of trade secrets for Ironmace's use of Nexon Korea's P3 development data, meaning they did not use P3's development data. The decision not to indict means the investigation found no charges. The charge of violation of the Copyright Act for the similarity between Ironmace's Dark and Darker game and Nexon Korea's P3 game was also made not to indict. In addition, the charge that Nexon Korea used an external server during the development of P3 and suspected improper purposes in the follow-up measures was sent for prosecution opinion. Indictments are when people say, yes, we're going to go to court for this. A third party says, we recommend that they get sued, or we recommend they don't. In this case, what the police are saying via a third-party expert, some data analysts somewhere, a company that specializes in this stuff, overlooked this whole thing and said the two are not the same. So much so that there is no point in pursuing it. That is important. Looking only at the results of the police investigation, it seems that Dark and Darker, developed by Ironmace, is unrelated to Nexon Korea's...
And I was actually, this is what I was talking about way back when we were talking about them being in court chat. Said if they could prove the source code was not being used, that would settle the case once and for all.
Development Project P3 and can be recognized as an independent development. However, the interpretation is that the reason for retaining the external server resources and data for one day during the development process was for an improper purpose. In other words, it can be concluded that Mr. Choi, SDF, of Ironmace, was suspected of illegally exporting data to an external source while working at Nexon Korea, but did not develop Dark and Darker based on this. I think that's pretty clean. Ironmace stated, the game Dark and Darker is a creative work that we developed independently, and the plaintiff's claim of unauthorized leaking was clearly false, as revealed through the police investigation. They also stated, while faithfully participating in the upcoming trial, we will not yield to the unfair behavior of large corporations that infringe on freedom of creation and opportunities for young entrepreneurs and threaten fair competition order. And we strive for the true development of the Korean game industry. Now, there is still a trial that's going to happen, but a recommendation not to bother indicting is pretty huge. That's huge. This is like a pre-trial hearing, right? The tribunal, in this case in Korea, there are 3 judges that overlook this stuff. They will vote to determine whether or not this should go to trial or not.
I don't think it's going to trial. I mean, there's enough in that article right there that says not to indict them. I don't think it's going to trial.
I'm pretty confident that based on those findings, it doesn't make sense for them to go ahead. This is a huge, huge plus for Ironmace. Now, there still is the issue of the server. But it seems that there is enough, I guess, of an air gap between Ironmace and SDF in this particular case where it doesn't make sense to rope Ironmace into this whole thing if Dark and Darker is not being derived from P3. This is huge.
Yeah, it's the source code was different, so it's not the same game.
Huge. It's massive. Big plus. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for this video. There's going to be a second video that I'm going to upload for you today regarding the Ironmace and Dark and Darker ARG for the holiday. We'll be able to go over that, where we're at, how much we've found. In the meantime, though, if you want to come by and check out a stream, I'm live every day over at twitch.tv/onepeg. If that doesn't work for you, perhaps consider subscribing to the channel here. Maybe even click the bell. That would be pretty dope. That way you know whenever it is that I put a video up, and you guys can continue to support the channel. It really, really does matter. Otherwise, if neither one of those 2 things work for you, I suppose I will see you in the next video whenever it comes up on your recommended feed. Thank you so much for lending me your eyeballs, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.
Well, there you guys have it. It doesn't look like they're going to get indicted to take this to court, so that's enough information that I believe that Ironmace is going to win this court fully in Korea. And to top that all off, the source code, like I said last time when we were reviewing this content, the source code would prove everything. And it has been proven that they did not take the IP from Nexon. So I think this is going to get thrown out and Dark and Darker is going to live on. Hey guys, if you like the video, make sure you head over to the page, hit that like button, scroll over, smash that subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notified for future video drops, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.